Good morning. My name is Barbara Hernandez, Director of Marketing and Communications for Pinellas County Government. First, I want to thank all of you for joining us today for our Media Day as we kick off the start of the 2017 hurricane season in Pinellas County. Today we have a very good program prepared for you. We're going to talk about updates, important information for our residents to help them prepare for hurricane season, know their evacuation zones. We're going to be sharing some new tools that are good for our residents to, again, be prepared, have their plans in place. And the ultimate goal is always preparedness. So with that, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today, and for those of you who are joining us online and on TV. We thank you. And I want to go ahead and real quickly do some brief introductions, and we'll turn it over to our emergency management staff. First, I want to introduce our Director of Emergency Management for Pinellas County, Ms. Sally Bishop. I also would like to introduce Irina Karolak. She is our Public Information Officer, who will be your lead point of contact for any information you might need today. We also have Tony Smith, our videographer, who's taking B-roll, Deborah Lansdowne, our photographer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sally to get our program started. Thank you very much.
I understand we're in a hurry because you guys have breaking news that seems to trump us. We have a really full agenda, so I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to stay for the whole program. We've given you comparisons of what 2016 looked like versus 2017, the fact that we're going to be back to 10 square feet again in the worst case scenarios. So we've got a lot of material for you, but we changed the order of the presentation in order to be able to make sure that we focus on the evacuation zone changes. But just in a nutshell, we're trying to make the public messaging simple, and this is a theme through all of our products and our tools, which is getting the public to understand this is a really simple thing about connecting, assessing, and then preparing a plan. The Ready Pinellas app, we like to call our just-in-time app, or the Plan in Your Pocket app. And we've got some other outreach initiatives that we're working on that we're going to detail for you this morning, as well as the storm surge modeling update that changed our evacuation zones. So just the simple theme through all of our products for the public message is keeping it simple, keeping preparations calm. In order to do that, all you have to do is follow these 3 steps, and that is connect to emergency information, assess your risk, and then plan and prepare for during and after the storm. And I think we could all agree that knowledge is power. So as long as you've done these 3 simple steps, it's the difference between being in a panic mode when we go into a hurricane evacuation versus having some peace of mind that you already know what it is that's going to be happening and what to expect, and you're prepared to deal with it. So one of the 2 big stories for 2017 is the changes to the evacuation zones. The other is going to be our Ready Pinellas app that we'll cover in the second half of this presentation. And to cover our storm surge changes and our evac zone changes, Joe Bories, our Emergency Management Operations Manager, is going to cover that with you.
Good morning. We'll talk about the changes in the hurricane evacuation model, or hurricane evacuation study that we conducted here at Pinellas County. As you can see on the screen, our previous slosh model has gone from this smaller parabolic bottle right here to a big, larger basin. It actually replaced 6 other watershed basins all the way around the state, bottom here. And some of the benefits of that, it reduced the number of the basins that the National Hurricane Center has to maintain, and improved the resolution. The slosh grids themselves are smaller and give better granular data than we had previously with the previous study from 2010. They did some improvements on the friction, so we've learned that mangroves do attenuate storm surge as it approaches the barrier islands and mainland, so they've added some better coefficients to that. It's also added a phenomenon called the Kelvin wave. We're able to model that better because if you saw on the previous slide, it was hard to pass a Kelvin wave from one slosh basin to another. But now we have, and this is a West Coast phenomenon, by the way, now we're able to model that running up through the entire basin right there. And that's like a 2005 Dennis, where it was just offshore and it pushes a wave just along the coast as the storm is approaching and creates some coastal flooding. And so with all these changes, some of our evacuation levels parcel assignments have gone from lower to higher. So how do we get from data to slosh modeling to what you see on the right, which are our evacuation assignments? Well, here in Pinellas, we're using a unique process where we look for where water is going to inundate parcels, and thus probably structures on those parcels. Our previous process, we were only able to look straight down and see where water might have been. Now we're able to tell how deep the water is actually going to get there. So looking at each category of storm using a raster overlay, which are about 5 grid cells that tell us how deep the water will be in any one of those cells, we apply a programmatic GIS process where when 35% of one storm surge category trips on a parcel, we assign that lowest evacuation level there, or actually category storm that corresponds to an evacuation level. So we're assured that at least that 1.5 foot of water is actually going to affect that. And why 1.5 foot of water? We know that 1.5 foot of water is just above the electrical outlets in a home. We don't want folks in their homes with water, and that's when we want them to evacuate, when water is actually reaching their home, not up on their driveway, but actually inside their structure. And as you get higher, 1.5 foot of water, it actually starts to float things like cars and pilings and different types of debris in there. So we don't want folks in there. So we're not trying to over-evacuate or under-evacuate. We're trying to evacuate at the right risk level. So we assign these programmatically, and then we do a manual review process where we look for isolated parcels. So we don't want to see parcels surrounded by A. They most likely need to evacuate, and conversely as well too, an A surrounded by C. And we look and we try to make some manual adjustments because we understand that the programmatic process is just that. So this was what the ending results were. Our new evacuation zone maps, again, assigned by parcel level. And there's some benefits to assign it by parcel level I'll touch on in a minute. And so here's a comparison between 2016 and really the previous year's model, so when we were using 2010 study and this year's study. And you can see that we've increased a little bit where we had some non-evac has grown right there. You can see where, talking about that friction and coefficient that they did, you can see that the water's flowed a little more through the creeks here, Joe's Creek and all. We have some more evacuation level A parcels because there was just going to be more water through the creeks. We had some growth in here as well too. There's been some changes in the evacuation levels for sure. The storm surge depths as well has changed a little bit. A has gone up to 11 feet now. We have up to 15 feet for B, C 20, D 28, and E is now, it used to be 33 feet, is now up to 35 feet of storm surge. That would be one monster of a storm. So evacuation assignment changes. So from the previous to the new, we actually had, so the most greatest effect was we had, Bs, we had 30,000 people assigned to B, but of those, 22,000 people or parcels that were Bs before are now As. Down as well too. You have some that went to B and A. Unfortunately, we had about 19,000 go from non-evac to an evacuation zone. And the most pertinent statistics are on the bottom right here for you. Here's our population affected by each category now. The percentage change that were from A. We had 82,000, now we have 140,000, 104,000, which is 22% growth. We actually had some reduction in B level and C, but we had some major growth in D and then some minor as well. Here's our population affected now, which certainly has grown. So what we look at is only residential parcels. We look at the number of units on each parcel and do a factor on that, and it gives us our population counts that you see on the right. We now have 232,310 souls affected by an evacuation level A. So, with all these changes, how do citizens find out that their evacuation levels have changed? So we have a number of applications and methods that folks can reach us. From our Know Your Zone application to Storm Surge Protector, they can call our interactive voice response system. As we speak right now, an Alert Pinellas message is going out to every single landline and subscriber that we have in Alert Pinellas, notifying them that it's June 1, it's hurricane season, that you need to check your evacuation level. The property appraiser puts it on their property records. We have our Pinellas County Doing Things app and our new Ready Pinellas mobile app as well, too. Our best messenger is you all. We're looking to see this message on your newscast tonight. I believe Sally's going to pick it up from here.
So because the evacuation zone changes are the story, and I see we've already lost 2 of the stations, so, okay, well, we're doing copies of the presentation, so you can take that information with you. I think the real story is everybody needs to know their evacuation zone needs to be rechecked. The bottom line is more people went from a higher level to a lower level, so that's a good thing. But what's really critical is that all citizens recognize that they need to know what their new evacuation zone is. And then we'll share the rest of our new tools with those who are still here. But we wanted to make, and for those who are leaving early also, our new storm surge banner's out in the front parking lot on the fire truck out there. So that's what 35 feet worth of storm surge looks like. So we'd like you guys to have the opportunity to get a shot of that too before, if you're interested, before you go. All right. So some other outreach initiatives that we've been working on that we're very proud of and want our citizens to know about also. Top of the list is our Ready Pinellas mobile application. So this is available for download out of any of the app stores. I like to call this the just-in-time app that's the pocket in your plan. The whole idea of this application was to give our citizens a tool that they could plan with ahead of time, but one that they can also use during an actual event. They could be a visitor, they could be here on business, or they just decided at that point to get interested in, getting ready for the storm. They can download the app and go to work with it immediately. It has checklists in there. It tells you, based on your location, as long as you have location services turned on your cell phone, the minute you open the app, it's going to tell you what evacuation level the location that you're at is in. You can jump to checklists and be able to work through the checklist and actually check off, okay, I've gotten these items taken care of. It takes you out to our other applications such as Know Your Zone and Storm Surge Protector, which will tell you what evacuation zone again you're in, but will show you, Storm Surge Protector will show you how high the storm surge is supposed to be at that location for that evacuation level. So it's a all-in-one kind of an app that I need to jump onto it because I actually have slides for it, that gives you something to plan with as well as something to work with during an actual evacuation. And if we're in an evacuation, when someone downloads this app, it's going to tell them that. Pinellas County has ordered a level B evacuation or whatever order level we've ordered. It's going to jump them right to where we're at that point in time, what's going on in the county, and then provide all these other tools that they can utilize in order to get themselves prepared for the storm. This is just a couple of screenshots of what it looks like when you're on the mobile app. The far to your left, Ready Pinellas, and that's the opening screen. It tells you the location that it is reading you at. It tells you what your evacuation zone is, and it talks about are we under an evacuation order or not, and if so, it would tell you what order, what level we've ordered, and then you have the main menu of all the other options that are available. So a lot of what's in this app has to do with tools we've already built that are already on our website, but this was a way to consolidate all those tools into a nice, as we call it, a plan in your pocket, something that people carry with them, or at least 71% of the population has cell phones. So this was a way to give them a tool that consolidated all those separate tools into one that we thought was the most useful for them. Well, it's new to Pinellas. It's something that we're hoping to be able to share across the state of Florida so that other counties that have multiple tools could take advantage of the free technology and base something for their county off of what we've done. Adopt a Shelter is another new program that we're underway with. It's a pilot program at this point, and thanks to our friends at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in St. Petersburg, they're going to be our pilot agency. So what we're doing is trying to work with the community to find other ways to either A, provide shelter for the general public, or options for private shelters, which is going to relieve public shelter space requirements. So this Adopt a Shelter option gives an entity many different options. First and foremost, if they just want to educate their members about sheltering and what that's about, it could serve for that purpose. It could establish a host home program within their agency or entity. So when you think Adopt a Shelter, you can think faith-based to start with. That's where we're focused, is with the faith-based community. So they could establish a home host program within their church, let's say, or if they want to take it to those further steps, they can establish either a public or private shelter within their own facility. If they're going to establish a public shelter, there's an opportunity for funding, possibly to harden their structure to become a public shelter in partnership with the County Emergency Management Office. If their facility can't serve as a shelter, then they have opportunities for their staff to be trained and for them to support other shelters, whether it's another church up the road that they want to partner with who has a good facility, or whether it's support after the storm because they want to utilize their facilities post-event. So this is a program that we're piloting right now, but once we get through this pilot, we'll be rolling out across the faith-based community to see what other churches may be interested in and in what way they would be interested. The Billboard Emergency Alert System is a program that we're getting ready to launch. It'll launch here in 2017. The idea of this is partnership across the community for those entities that have digital billboards. So part of the issue is, as you in the media are well aware, is getting the word out to our citizens. So this is just one more tool in our toolbox to be able to partner with agencies across the county who have digital billboards, who are willing to participate with us, be on a distribution list to receive emergency information from us, and then post it on their digital billboard. So these are going to be short messages, and they may be things as simple as a hurricane is threatening Pinellas County, tune into your local media for more information. Or when the county gets to a point of ordering an evacuation, they may say things like Pinellas County has ordered a level B evacuation, tune into your local media for additional information. So we're getting ready to launch this program. It's going to start with those that we know have received permits to put up digital billboards. From there, we'll reach out through our networks, faith-based government organizations, businesses that are chains that we know have digital billboards. So we're hoping to have it be prevalent within the next year or two throughout the community. And we want to renew our host home program as a matter of need as much as anything, because these new evacuation zones actually are putting us back to the need for 10 square feet per person rather than our 15 square feet per person that we had gotten up to at shelters. We actually put up an example of what 10 square feet looks like over there on the side for folks to look at. But when we get to a level E evacuation, we're going to be going back to 10 square foot per person rather than that all big, 15 square feet that we had previously. And the reason for that is because we've lost shelter spaces because of the new storm surge. And so we need to create more spaces in those shelters that we're still going to be able to use. So again, the need for the 10 square foot per person in a level E evacuation. So the host home program, we want to renew. And again, this is throughout the community. It could be a church, it could be a business, where they can create their own host home program, where we've got people who have lifestyles matching up with each other, whether they're friends, family, group members, or coworkers, and being able to go shelter someplace in a non-evacuation zone where they're in an evacuation zone. So it's a very simple program that's run internally to whatever organization decides to use it, and Pinellas County government actually uses it itself, where employees that are in non-evacuation zones make themselves available to employees that are in evacuation zones to be able to find a place to evacuate to. I think that basically covers it. A couple of stats that I want to share with you from the first half of the presentation, now that we've slowed the pace down a little bit, is Joe mentioned that we're actually using Alert Pinellas right now to get the word out to everyone that we can reach with our notification system. That's a little over 333,000 phone calls that are going out right now to our citizens to let them know that evacuation zones have changed. And to try to simplify what's really changed from one year to the next, besides the fact that the National Hurricane Center updated the model, they gave us new information, we're working with that new information, is the difference between what Joe explained, the difference between being able to only tell that, hey, there's going to be water on this parcel, to now, how high is the water going to be on this parcel, and being able to tell people to evacuate when they're going to have more than 1.5 feet of water at that location. That's really, in a nutshell, the essence of what we've been able to accomplish with the newer tools and the newer technology, so that we're telling people to go when it's prudent for them to go, and if they're not going to get 1.5 feet and they're only going to get 2 inches of water at that location, they don't have to evacuate for that. With that, I'll open it up for any questions anybody has. Again, I mentioned we have out front the storm surge banner that now shows our max storm surge at 35 feet versus what it used to be, which is 29 was our max. We've got the example of what 10 square feet looks like. We've got the old map from 2016 and to the new map of 2017 up on the wall. I imagine all of you are going to probably download the new Ready Pinellas app. That's the best way to show it, is to actually have it on your mobile application and be able to walk through it to show citizens what that looks like. And we're going to be available for interviews and questions.